Hey, how about it, race fans? Richard Allen of motorsportsreport.net here with Cory Hedgecock and Chad Hedgecock at Smoky Mountain Speedway. Been doing some testing here today. Let's start with Chad. Chad, from your perspective, crew chief, car builder, what defines a good day of testing?
Man, just learning some stuff that we're changing. We're not always looking to try to improve 100% today, just making some changes to see how it affects the car and an attitude that he's more looking for. There's just a feel he's always looking for, so we're trying to get a wider range for him to feel that most of the time.
And with the BMF cars now, I mean, you know Cory, you know his likes, you know his dislikes and all that, but now you've got other drivers. You have Jake Whitehead here and Hayden Cardwell here. How do you engineer your car to not only be good for what Cory likes, but what other drivers want too?
It's different. I mean, honestly, there's sometimes it is a little bit more of a struggle to get it. Luckily right now today, I mean, like Cory and Hayden's stuff's pretty much spot on. They jumped back and forth in cars today and could basically do the same thing. Brandon's car felt real good. Jake's kind of got our setup under it and was pretty good. We had to make a few small changes on his, but all in all, I mean, it's been pretty close for everybody. Pretty close.
And Cory, from your perspective as a driver, what makes a good day of testing?
Same thing, just like me and so Hayden doesn't use a lot of brakes. I feel like I use a lot of brakes. Brandon, I can tell, uses no brakes. Jake Whitehead uses a bunch of brakes. So it's just a different feel of just what they're doing and what they're manipulating and getting in the corner. With what they're doing with the brakes, it's kind of hard to. Me and Dad can help you or help people as far as, okay, hey, I think you should drive like this or not like this, but sometimes it'll just mess the driver up worse, and in the end, it actually just makes them worse also. So we'll just sometimes just have to adapt to how they're driving, which is always okay, and we can always make it work no matter how you drive.
And, you got to be pleased with BMF race cars, because not only are you doing very well in them, but starting to really expand. We got these other guys here, and of course Tanner English is going to be driving a BMF car too. It's got to make you feel proud.
It's awesome. We never in a million years thought we would be able to sell this many race cars and have this much luck in such a short period. So everybody's trusting us, and a lot of people are sending deposits and everything. We can't thank everyone enough. We came a long way in a short time. Dad and them just got in the building, so we're trying to move BMF and Team 23 to that building to kind of make it a little easier in the racing world for us. So it's just it's a long road, but we're getting there, and I think we're making some noise.
And Chad, coming back to you, you said you came here about noon, so it's around 4 or 5-ish now. How many types of changes do you go through? How many times do you change the shocks or whatever?
We changed a lot of stuff. I think we were on probably 3 or 4 different right fronts today, 2 or 3 different left rear combinations we was on. We were just playing with some stuff. There was a lot of changes. Hayden's we weren't changing as much. We kind of left him more of on a standard deal, and really right now today was just to make sure he got a good feel for the car and the changes we made for next week's race at 411.
And for a novice like me, I've never worked on a race car, I've never driven one, anything like that. It seems to me like, you've won so many times here that you ought to be able to come back and the same setup ought to work again, but that's nowhere near true, is it?
It's close. The setups are generally in a ball game, but no, every day it's a little different. We make the tracks moved up or down a little bit. There's some subtle changes, and then we've not been here as much on this new configuration here at the mountain than we have at in the old. I mean, it's definitely a lot different deal. Came here today, we was working on some steering stuff a little bit more, honestly, and now that the way they've changed this, it's definitely at times it's definitely a more of a steering effect that he needs to feel is what we were looking for, more for the Volution and stuff and the end of the Winter Series deal.
And Cory, coming back to you, as far as he's talking about that feel, every time that you make a change, how big is the difference? I mean, do you go out there and you immediately say, okay, we can tell?
No, some of it's just a different, it's kind of hard to explain. Some's not going to be any different out here testing, but we don't. It's really hard and difficult to find a good combination and everything. Racing is a whole different ball game than testing. We can all be fast testing. So then what does so we can momentum up, and that's just all we can do in testing everything. So we don't have a lot of traction in the car. We have a ton of speed. So whenever you need to go race and you're having to maybe slide to the brown or kind of scotch up early and kind of leave low, just different stuff and everything, it's kind of hard to mimic that in racing. Very, very difficult. So we try not to get roped up in testing too much, just because that same aspect, what can be a tenth and a half quicker here today will absolutely not work in racing conditions. So it's a feel that everybody's kind of got to get on and everything. And like Dad said, I'm searching for a feel for me, whether it's fast or slow. I'll race better that way in this field. So we're always just hunting that. For me, we're always hunting that. Maybe I'm not as adaptable as a driver as some, maybe, as far as like I like one particular field, whether that is at Knoxville, Iowa, Mountain View. That's different size racetracks, but I'm still trying to feel the same. I need to be able to adapt a little bit better as far as that goes, but we're getting there, so we'll figure it out.
All right, that's Cory Hedgecock and Chad Hedgecock of BMF Race Cars. Thank you for taking the time to listen in.